Hello, welcome to Sunday morning coffee. Number something. We've had a bit of a break, but I am back. We have viewers, which is good. I'm glad some people have come back. Got things to show off, and yeah, so I'll just double check that this is working. It seems to be working. We only had that 1 week where it was a disaster. I have the cooling tower this morning, cooling tower, and a new setup, which you may be thinking, what? What has happened? Why is there a different background? Where is she? I'm in the same area. I have to shuffle a bit. And I've got a proper mount for this as well. But the mount for the tablet goes straight to the guinea pig cage. So it's actually the guinea pigs that are helping me stream, I guess. But it means the water bottle is right next to it. So if you hear, then that is guinea pigs. Saying there's a wild 6 viewers, which is unusual. But I guess I haven't been on for a bit. Oh, it's creeping up. It's creeping up. But if it works, that's all good. So what have we got to catch up with? So I've been off. I've been off work, as you may have noticed. So I didn't have a stream last week. I got back from Expo, and I planned a week off anyway. But hello, people who've come along. I planned a week off after Expo to die, basically, because I was a wreck of a human. And during Expo, I had a few mental health wibbles, but I managed to power through because I had to. But I was very close to having one of my episodes, and that was exhausting managing to not. So I was pretty knackered. And then half an hour before the stream 2 weeks ago, I got a message from my previous housemate asking if he could move back. So he moved back, I think, the day afterwards, which is obviously sad news because he moved away because he'd moved in with his partner, and that's not worked out, and he's back. But from my angle, it's nice having him back. Again, circumstances aren't ideal and all that sort of thing, but I'm glad that I was able to help him out as well. And also with my money stresses, it's good having somebody to share the bills again. But because this was unexpected, then then the entire house has had to be rearranged because the room that he had before turned into the hobby room. Just wondering whether he's watching and he's going to heckle me or not. But that was then, so that was the hobby room, and very under a short amount of time, I had to dismantle it. So I did do a rest in peace hobby room, thoughts and prayers. And I didn't want that stuff to go back in the garage, and I didn't want it to go to the office because the office has currently, we got back from Expo super tired. Everything went in the office, including stuff that lives in the garage. And then I was originally going to sort the garage that week to get the stuff then neatly back in so there's no carnage everywhere. I'm doing the gesturing. There he is, lurking away. So Mr. 2D6, welcome back to my lands. So it is his fault. Everything is his fault, basically. So yeah, it meant that because I had no warning, the room had to be sort of put around, and the house is quite small. So yeah, it's just been a bit of a stuff everywhere sort of job because I had to get all my stuff out of that room in order for him to get his things in. So my stuff has kind of been strewn. I've been sort of sleeping on a corner of the bed because I've had all the stuff on the bed whilst I've been figuring out where to move bits around. I'm nearly there now. The guinea pigs have moved. So where I'm sitting was where guinea pig land was. It's the other corner because I'm normally by the window, but now I'm over here. So I've to move to the guinea pig corner. They've had a bit of a downgrade in size, but I did explain to them that in this economy, they can't expect too lavish a lifestyle. It's still a really big cage. But I'm like, oh, poor little things. But they haven't noticed, and it's still pretty huge. And I say this is clipped onto their cage. And I used the opportunity to raise it. I'll take some decent pictures once it's all sorted as well. See you later, Gary. But now the guinea pig land is higher up. So there's now on either side cubes. So basically, guinea pigs are at nearly standing height, which helps my back. So it's kind of been a good kick up the ass to sort of do the change that I wanted to do a while ago. So yeah, I can now clean the guinea pigs without hurting my back because I've been getting backache a lot, so that's nice. And it's easier to hang out with them because I can just say hello. They're less scared. The higher up they are, basically, the less scared they get because you become just this floating head, whereas previously you'd like this big looming. So when they're on the floor, you're like Godzilla. And then obviously the taller up you get, they get less stress. But the reason it was where it was so that I could climb in. So I can't climb in it anymore, but I can just hang out in there and be like a floating head and shoulders. And they seem pretty chilled with that, to be fair. Dave's being brutal as always. He keeps pulling the water bottle off, which is exactly what they need in the heat. Well, Dave, what are you doing? He goes like, and pulls it off because he's so powerful. So yeah, that's been a big change, which is partly why I didn't stream last week because everything. I thought there's nothing to update because I've just been going, there's stuff everywhere. The computer, everything was sort of buried under things. Everything was in chaos. Oh, also, I can get to 3 sides of the guinea pig pen now. So while I've been rearranging the room, they've been following me around. It has also meant obviously just being more space efficient. This is way better because where I was felt a little bit like a lobby. So now so just here is the guinea pig cage. It's a nice little cozy, and so I don't have a telly, so I've got the guinea pigs to look at. And I managed to fit another bookcase in, which is ace. That was the bookcase that the terrain was on before, but that's now in cubes. But yeah, this is all, I'm sure, very exciting to you listening to my house rearrangement. A little bit of pig squabble back there. So it's just used like I've been that whole like running on fumes, as they say. So I've been absolutely knackered. And yeah, rearranging. So I still haven't had the break that I scheduled. So that's why I gave myself a bit more time off. But I still haven't had that break. And that's been playing havoc on my brain. And I then had another close episode. Well, but kind of started as a small one. And I don't like talking in too much detail about it because I already talk way too much about my own mental health. And I think, and it's the whole thing where people are like super cool if it's anxiety and depression, but if there's anything a bit different or weird, then it's like, oh, that's not acceptable though. You're only acceptable to be a bit sad. But yeah, me having a full-blown episode would basically be me done for a while, and that's not what I could do with. So I've been a bit close, and having to sort of struggle with that and still get stuff done has been pretty tough. So there's that. Because I worked myself pretty solid up to Expo as well to make sure that it happened, and it was worth it, and it was awesome. And I'm not complaining about any of the things. But yeah, it's just I'm very tired. I'm very tired generally at the moment, and yeah, it's been not been helping my brain. Oh, I haven't plugged this in. I just realised it should be okay. Got a battery. Yes. But no shade on Andy. I was also helping some mates dog sit as well, which is also absolutely fine. But yeah, it was just because I'm already at that breaking point. I've been a little bit wibbly. And yeah, not being in the office means I've then messed a few bits up, or missed some stuff, or obviously some of the orders. I did go in one day last week to get loads of orders out. Then I did a half day, but I can barely move in the office because all of the racks are in there. So I've been disassembling the racks. So I think Fenris Ian's going to help me later today to move the racks back to the garage. So at least the office is okay because it's that like there is nowhere in my life that's not full of stuff at the moment, which is one of my stress thingies. So if I can at least get the office good. But say the house is nearly there. I reckon a couple days of more sorting and it's pretty much there, to be fair. And it's actually worked out way better. So having some company back is awesome. Having an extra eye on the guinea pigs, especially now Dave is pulling the water bottle off. So it's all good. It is all good. Oh, mum can't help because the trains are on strike. No. But Bean says, missed the starts. Not sure if I missed the big news. Hope you're doing okay. No, enough. Well, really, in a nutshell, the house has been reorganised. My housemate's back. Money and company. Oh, Dave's the guinea pig. So people that aren't guinea pigs around the house again, which is nice. Um, That means that just I've not been able to get in the office because I've been trying to I want to get all the stuff sorted as much as possible because the longer that things are in carnage, just the longer I get stressed. So you can see my little plant in the background with its little hands on there. Yeah, this area is quite cozy. So I'm rambling about that. I'll talk about some other things. But yes, welcome back, Andy, to the land of madness. Yeah, and he's gone very Kallax crazy. So there's been a few IKEA trips and many excitements about Kallax, including me getting some more Kallax. So the guinea pigs are all on Kallax that's stacked together. So there's like tunnels between it, which I did try climbing in a while back and without dislocating my shoulder. Lots of people could. I cannot. But I tried. It's nice to know. Mm. So what else has been happening? So this is not the cause. This is part of just the everything. But for many months now, pretty much this year, I've been really struggling with burnout, and it's just been an ongoing. Like I'll feel better for a bit, and I'm like, oh, maybe it's okay, and then it's not. So I'm okay. Okay today, but I've been having lots of problems. I'm just absolutely exhausted, and I'm not quite sure what to do. And I'm also not down for unsolicited advice. So just nice ears, nice ears. Um, but yeah, I did yeah. It's always hard trying to be honest, but also not give away too much. That's not the phrase. I don't want you to have any loss of confidence in Bad Squid or anything. Like, oh no, we won't buy anything because she's going to run away to the Andes or something. If I do run away to the Andes, I will make sure that all your orders are shipped beforehand. So don't worry about that. I gotta have some consumer confidence. That's the Bad Squiddo guarantee. Um, but yeah, I've just been not doing well, I guess, personally. And I'm trying to kind of put that away because it then affects Bad Squiddo. And it's all yeah, it's all obviously tied in. And that frustrates me. I think I've been very frustrated lately that I can't give the service that I want to give. So when everything's awesome, we're doing same day delivery and replying to your messages. I'm getting the new minis done out. But because I'm so overstretched, I feel like I either don't do things or I don't do things as good as I could be doing them, or it all sort of gets behind. So it's not the yeah, it's not. I hate having to post things like "Sorry, we're behind because of blah blah," and it sucks. But hopefully, it's partly maybe me giving myself too high standards, but um, then I hope that I'll just be able to get sorted. But I do feel like I've been saying for a long time when I get sorted, yeah. So basically, anytime you've had an issue, think um, I haven't forgot about it. It's just there in the never-ending spiral. So I checked my email this morning, and there's obviously a bunch of like, "You haven't responded to my email," or "Where is my order?" And they're all absolutely valid messages. But yeah, then it just becomes this like I just sit and stare, and I'm like, I'm at capacity. I just cannot take any more in or do anything, and you get really paralyzed. And I've definitely been struggling with that. Um, but getting more of this stuff sorted this weekend is good, and I definitely struggle asking for help, um, and have a bit of a mix of that whole like, people want to help, it's awesome, stuff gets done, and then that stupid inner brain that's like, oh, you're always getting people to help, and anyway, I don't want to rumble too much about that because that would suck. I've got this. That's cool. That's cool. That's coming out. Yeah, I did. I may have phoned a couple of people in the week and said, "Am I a dickhead?" And then got, "Yes, yes, you are," but a lovely one. Um, it's broke. It broke in the post, so I need to go and upset John and tell him because I'm gonna have to get it bit replaced, which will be fun. but she's coming out soon. Look at you. I got a whole bunch of painted stuff down here that managed to get arrived. I managed to get arrived. I absolutely love these. Um, these are the statues painted by Carla at Painting Nights. The contrast of colours just really makes them pop. I think it's beautiful. They just look so fun to paint. There we are. Ed says, I'm planning to paint the the zombie unicorn soon. Very crazy model. I wanted to ask, as it's not metal, did you start making resin or plastic or CO cast? It is resin. So all the terrain is resin. We don't do tons of resin in the normal range. We're going to be doing more because the cost of metal is going wild. The resin we use is stunning. So I'm being distracted by this. I'm like, look how cool that is. Look at those orbs. Um, but it's yes, it is a good thing to mention. So I think I've mentioned previously that at one point I wanted to never work with resin ever again because I hated it, and then I sampled the resin that Harcasta uses, and thought, wow, this is incredible. So now we do more resin. It just ends up being more expensive, but when it gets to the point where metal is getting way more expensive, it's kind of almost like a good excuse. It's like, let's do more resin then. So this is hand poured resin, traditional. It is the best. It's the best I've come across, and that's not me blowing my trumpet. It's me blowing the caster's trumpet because they entirely resold me on resin. Because it's like that. A lot of people will go, "Oh, I don't like metal," or "I don't like resin," and it's largely because they're not all made the same. You get good resin casters, bad resin casters. Same with metal, different techniques, all that sort of stuff. So it does vary. Also, different types. You get different types of metal, whether they're super lead and then they're all grim. We use a tiny bit of lead, which still classifies it as pewter in America. Top fact, because if you add a tiny bit of lead, it just makes it a little bit less brittle. Yeah, resin getting up cheaper than metal is pretty weird. But I'd say one of the reasons resin costs more is because it's very more labor intensive because everything has to be hand poured, set, pull it out. Whereas metal, it's still hand poured, but you go whing, and then you get like 16 figures, and you can just keep doing that whing, and that's it. But yeah, with resin, it's more labor. That's the actual cost. But yeah, this resin, I absolutely love it. So yep, the horse is the undead horse. Some of the new undead animals are resin, and I find them better to work with on larger things. So things like our capybara and our bear and all that, they've always been resin. Because yeah, I just personally think it's nicer to work with it. When things get bigger and metal, they end up being chunky. There's more chance of them pitting and stuff like that. If there was no barrier, I'd probably put everything in resin because it just looks so much nicer. It's lovely and it's easier to convert and all that. But then I know that there's a lot of people that like metal minis, and especially with 28 mil, it's like, look how cool she is. She's a metal mini. It's one of the new releases. Who else have we got here? Yay! Got our little in toward Joyce there. Again, you'll know it's like you can't quite see it. Two people have mentioned Seocasts, and I feel I'm probably going to go to hell because I've ignored this question strategically. And then on Twitter the other day, I did call it Avon for men, and I feel I've now come out with my opinion on the matter. But I never like to put anyone down, and I know a lot of people are using Siocast. We will not be. That's my opinion on the matter. The main, being tactical, the main issue, sometimes I have to look at my guinea pigs and see if they're dead, and they're not. It's just they're very flat at the moment. It's not like, are you dead while I'm streaming next to you? Nope, you're just asleep. They like to stress us like that. So the main issues I have, which is aside from quality or anything, is you're tied to one company. That's the biggest thing. That's the biggest issue. Cast is basically, if you remember when GW did Finecast. So this is what I'm the Cast reps, right? I'm going into it. It started. Their reps are so heavy. They email so much and they get people all the time that I feel like by saying this, I'm now going to get some sort of rep messaging me going, "How dare you say things about our product?" Um, but yeah, you're stuck with one company. They're the only company. You have to buy um, everything from them. If you do resin or metal, you can buy it from anywhere. It's the same, it's the technique. A lot of people use the same suppliers because they're the ones that work. So you need to buy your silicon molds or your rubber molds, your resin, your metal. Um, but it's not anyone's IP, or it's not belonging to one company. It's just a material that you buy. Whereas with Cast, you are locked into that company, and you have to buy everything from that company. So if that company goes under or raises their prices, or because they're based, I can't remember, somewhere in Europe, if there are world reasons, that affect that outside of the people, you're then extra screwed, if they can't get hold of what they need to get hold of, or things like Brexit that can happen, which make trade a lot harder, and therefore there's extra taxes. You're just absolutely, it just seems like a bad business to me. If it was a type of thing, a type of material process or something that was more open, it would be more of an intrigue. But also, for me, it doesn't seem to fill any gaps because it's not as good as resin, and it's not much cheaper. I haven't fully looked. I've kind of looked a bit. I'm going in a full. Oh my god! It's because I've not been at work. I've run out of professionalism. But yeah, I don't want to affect anyone that's using it, because everyone's just trying to do what they can, to get by. So I can understand the appeal for other companies, but to get set up with the machine and stuff, it's 70 grand, and one of the sales points is that you get it and then you sell it to your friends. That's why I called it Avon Ferment. It's like, if part of the selling point is getting other people into it, then you know so you kind of been sold the thing, and then you've got to get your downline, and then you have to tell everyone how great it is so that they all join the downline. And I'm kind of like, not for me. I'm very committed to make, as I have been from the start, making our stuff as good as possible. And I can definitely see its purpose, where it's things like Reaper Bones and all that, where you're making loads of miniatures, they're cheap, and people want, that there's a place for that all the time. You're playing D&D, you want to bucket monsters, that sort of thing. Things like board games. But then even things like board games, if you can get that in plastic. So I'm also a bit sure, if what's the word, that the other annoyance is it's being marketed as injection molded plastic, which it also isn't. So it's saying we're exactly the same as basically anything that you get on a sprue, which it's not. So I have plans at one point. I've got into a thing. I'm going to get in so much trouble as well. If I disappear, blame Cast reps. They've come for me. They've probably come for me. I can't guarantee that. I feel like all those conspiracy guys in the caravans of all the stuff, they're coming for me. But I have been very professional and not saying anything about it. But it's been bothering me. So by mentioning it, you just sort of like unleashed the beast. But yeah, it's the system I'm not a fan of, but I don't have anything against anyone who's using it. So we're all just trying to do our best and get things out, and the cost is going up, and they are emailing a lot going, price of metal's going up. Find out why all of your competitors are switching to Cast, and their life is better now, and that sort of thing. But yeah, I'm not going down that route, until I do, and then I delete this video and go, yes, yes, it's great. Other companies should also use my casting facilities and then it will cost about the same as resin, but won't be as good and be harder to clean up. And yeah, but yeah, it's not for us. It's not for us. But it's yeah, their marketing. They have a lot of money in marketing, so seeing it pop up on some large channels and things like that is, yeah. So yeah, that's that's my thoughts on things. Yeah, I do definitely use Avon for men. Some men use Avon, but you know what I mean. Avon is generally marketed at women, and Wargames has a lot of men. I think everyone I know who's bought into it has been a man. Minis have entered MLM. This is going to become the Annie gossip hour today because I have other points of contention to mention. Contention to mention. Yeah, obviously a few times I've gone, maybe I'm wrong, let me double check. Nope, nope, nope. But yeah, they're very persuasive and yeah, have a lot to sort of push at people, and I'm kind of watching it with intrigue. But yeah, I totally get it. For some of the larger companies, it makes sense. But the smaller companies, I think it's really not good for us. But yeah, Gossip Corner. Anyway, so yes, our minis are resin and metal, and maybe one day will be hard hips plastic, which is the best. Yay, Bean says I've seen it talked about everywhere, and it's not to hear some very nice to hear, I assume. Yeah, some very honest and direct thoughts about it. Yeah, it is a little bit like they drink the Kool-Aid, but then they've invested, the sunk cost thing. So yeah, you invest all the money, and you've been saying how great it is, and then but then some of them I've seen, I don't want to name drop anyone, but I've seen people publicly posting things like it's taken them over a year or 2 years to get it working. There's no reps in their country, whereas at the start they're very like, we have reps, we can give you 24-hour support and all this, and then it's like, oh, the reason it's not working is because you haven't bought the crankometer. Whatever, the crankometer, that's why it's not working. You'll need to pay another 20 grand to get the crankometer, because we didn't give you a crankometer because we didn't have them before, so you've got the bad version and stuff like that. And it's like, so yeah. So yeah, publicly a few people, but they still don't say it in a negative light. They're like, that was a journey, but now we've got it working, because obviously they can't, because they've invested all the money, so now they have to kind of keep saying the thing, and they need to get their money back, so they need to get some other companies to what's the word, contracts, to use them for contract casting as well. So you're kind of just locked into some sort of hell by the looks of it. I am actually concerned now I've said all this, that I am going to get some sort of like, oh crap, it's the woman trying to take us down, or they don't care because they're making loads of money. So yeah. So there's that. A slurp of coffee, please. It's okay, because I've been not well. I was kind of like, I hope I don't do one of those streams where I end up crying again. But it's not. I've just got gossiping, so it's cheered me up. Bear in mind, I do look into this stuff a lot. I'm not. One of my frustrations is people thinking that I kind of go, woo, running a company by accident. Whereas, yeah, I work very hard, and whilst I am chirpy, fun, and awesome, and all that stuff, I am a very shrewd businesswoman that looks at all that stuff. But yeah, even if there were absolutely zero issues I had with it, the fact that you are tied to one company is an absolute no go. Andy, if you were buying a dozen ZUCC machines, I'd wonder what is your secret job that you've got? It's far too many. But yeah, you heard it here. When it all goes, when the bubble bursts, think, damn, Annie was there. Annie knew stuff. So anyway, I got this. It's not ZUCC, it's resin. Woo, woo. Also, no, don't. So Casco, we're the only eco thing, and people are like, damn, we need things to be more eco. I'm like, metal's so eco, they put all of the waste back into it. Like in the same way that they do, that you can reuse the ores, you can reuse metal. So yeah. Anyway. And then the next episode you'll see is me like with the gun there going, I retract my statements from last week. It is a perfectly good system. So yeah, anyway, thank you, Ed, for being very business smarts and organised. Thank you. Um, I do appreciate it. So yes, that was that. Got lots of new painted things. Again, there's no point me proper showing you because it doesn't. Metal tooling for plastic as a ballpark, because it's dependent on what sort of stuff there is. It can be about 40 grand. People put aside about 40 grand, including the sculpting, to make one plastic box set. So say like a Frostgrave Soldiers box or Perry Pikeman or something like that. That's about there. It varies a bit. If you have it made in China, some people do. Is it public knowledge? Me going, what's public knowledge? So some companies will use China. I don't want. I'm going to try and avoid my entire career using China because of it's the not tarring China with a brush, but that industry is very not great. I want to make sure people working for me are being paid. you know, there's a lot of dollars when you get to that larger scale, and I understand for some people it's almost unavoidable because it happens or it doesn't happen. But yeah, a lot of that sort of manufacture in those sort of poorer areas. It's like I don't. Yeah, if you don't know what's happening in the factories that you're using and stuff, it's not good. But I'd always keep it as an option if there was somewhere that I found that went, oh, they seem pretty cool. But it's also stuff like when you're shipping from China, then it all has to go on, those mega boats that get stuck up the Suez Canal, and then that's a whole other thing as well. So at least like I don't get affected by anything like that. All my stuff happens in Birmingham. There you go. It all happens in Birmingham, by a bunch of people, which just makes it's just like not putting things in the way that can cause issues. So the less complex or whatever, Kickstarters where it's like our stuff's stuck on a boat or we can't get hold of Geocast or whatever, yeah, so I like to keep things nicely streamlined and ethical. And our casters were one of the first people, I believe, to pay living wage as well. So everyone who works at the casting company gets at least a living wage. And I think it might now be law or something, but this has been on for a long time, which is ace. Yes, and they struggle. Tamsin says they're very flat. They definitely struggle with what's the word? Dynamic poses as well, which kind of brings you back to designing like you would in the 80s. Double that. Slain! I love the Slain figure though. Sorry, minis are delayed, boats stuck on canal in Birmingham. So yeah, all the minis from John have arrived. What? So she's resin. And apart from the shield, she's one piece resin, and it's stunning. And there's also, as you all know, barely a mold line. There's always going to be a tiny bit because of the process, but it's like it looks at your knife and it just goes, and peels off. I'll be taking a bunch of pictures. So go like this from Carla. So in my reorganisation stress, what I could have done is shove everything in boxes, but that wouldn't have helped because I liked having that easily set up photography table and stuff like that. So that's why I've tried to make it so that I can access these things in the house a lot easily. What was I going to say? Something. My brain's just stuck in the Suez Canal. One of my friends is selling a canal boat, and I did think, wow, I could go live in a canal boat, but then I have to pay money. I don't have any money to buy a canal boat. It's a lot cheaper than a house, but yeah. Anyway, figures, what was I saying? Have you looked at larger models like boats, cars, buildings? I think your business user characters is connected. A bit, I tend to say smaller because our casters are expensive because they're so good. And when things get bigger, you then in competition with people that kind of cast at home and they underprice it. So then I'm like, and there's perceived, so there were perceived value a lot as well. When, it's not a great comparison, but like, this costs more than this, but this is more expensive. Like this one piece but this is more expensive because I have to undercharge this stuff basically. So because someone will go, "Wow, yes, this is a character model. It's absolutely beautiful," and obviously the sculpting costs a lot more on this because of what it is. Um, Whereas this, they're like, "But it's some weird orb thing," but it still has to have the same process to it. So when things get even bigger, I just think they'd be priced out basically, because someone would be like, "It's a car. I don't want to pay 80 quid for a car or whatever." Not a car, that'd be not would be 80 quid. But yeah, generally, oh, this is so nice. You can't quite see it. I've been watching Stranger Things. I won't do any uh what's it? Spoilers. But some of Stranger Things has made me go, oh, I need to make sure I market this and go, if you love Stranger Things. And it's not just this, there's a whole set. I'm just holding that one up because it's the I love how Carla's painted these. They're so shiny. But yeah, it's just generally like alien orby things. But yeah, it's hard enough sort of pricing the terrain because people are like, but it's just a bit of terrain. You're like, but it's still. I have not had a look at Spanish Civil War stuff because I have not looked at anything. I have still been fully fully concentrating when I am in work at trying to get orders and that sort of stuff out. But I do have a little section for stuff, and it's kind of when I got a bit of chill time. I just don't have any chill time. Um, and yeah, I've got the next project we're doing is getting the community miniatures sorted as well. So there's no other project in the works at the moment. Andrea's curious question: there's no Joan of Arc? There is. I was gonna get what's it? Kev White to do Joan of Arc, and that's where I ended up in Jean de Clisson because I wanted to make it realistic, and then I thought that's going to be a boring one for Kev to sculpt because I wanted Kev to be able to do something that looked like a mega fantasy figure. So she kind of got put on the shelf because I totally want to do it, but I want to do a realistic version, which probably won't sell as much as the yeah. But yeah, one of the reasons I didn't do it, was because there's a few around. But to be fair, there's not actually as many. Perry do a lovely one, but you have to get. I can't remember if it was like limited or something. I like the one that I think it's something to do with North Star. Do one where it's the Mila Jovovich character, which is a pretty cool figure, to be fair. But yeah, I will definitely be doing her. I'm sure if not, she'll probably come up in a community minis. But yeah, it was me fighting with trying to do people lesser known, but then going, Annie, make the stuff people want. So like I had it exactly at Expo where people go, do you have this character? And one of them, I haven't memorized her surnames, apologies. I do need to find someone that speaks Russian just to confirm some pronunciations or something. But the fighting girlfriend lady, it's Maria Ob something. So she was a tank commander. She's a tank commander, tank driver. She was in a tank. It's a very famous story because her husband died, so she bought a tank, asked Stalin if she could have a tank, and he went, "Yeah, cool. That's some good news for the propaganda and stuff." And yeah, wrote "fight a girlfriend" on the side of it. But there were loads of women tankers, so I've got. So yeah, people. That's the one, and I do not know how to pronounce that, and I will not try. But yeah, it's like, hello, do you have this figure? I'm like, well, I don't, but I do have 6 tankers, Soviet women tankers, and she could be any of them. No, it has to say it on the packet. So I'm like, okay. Because the reason I do less of those sort of named characters is because it almost feels like they're an anomaly. Because you're like, oh, did you hear about that one woman? And it's like, yeah, there were loads of them. That was obviously a particularly cool story. The same with Pavlichenko. Where she's very famous. There's loads of snipers, and I just buckled and went because I went, look, we've got like 8 snipers. She could be any of them. And I'm like, oh, you don't have her, so I've pretty much gone. This one's her, and sold those. So yeah, that's. Robert, do you have any Night Witches? I do. I do have a wonderful pack of Night Witches, and I have another pack of pilots. They can obviously be interchanged, but the Night Witches generally didn't have parachutes, so I've got them in overcoats, and they're sort of landed. They're like, But they are some of my favourite models, and they do really well. Peter is correct. He said large resin gets expensive exponentially. Yeah, he said it gets to like a pirate ship, and you have to charge like at least 100 quid more than that. When you can then comparison, it's like you can just buy a kid's pirate ship and do it up. So I totally get that. It obviously works for some people, and that's where like Reaper Bones, which I believe is CEOcast, comes in, because you can then make a massive thing and it, not be the best, but it does the job. And most people won't care about that difference in quality for the difference in price when it's something so big that you can, sort of bodge. Whereas for 28 mil, there's a big thing. Scenery is where competition with home 3D is most noticeable. Yeah, it's definitely happening. Because I have seen a lot of that. People go, we'll print it on demand, like a big house or something. And yeah, it's like there's no way I could match it in price, but it's probably ribbed. Oh god. And he slags off every technique. Yeah, a lot of the printing isn't good. Because that's how people's home printers. And that's to be expected. Obviously, professional, mega good printers, like the ones that companies use to then master the figures, are insane. Resin printers generally are ace. But what sort of say? Brain. Yeah, I think I spoke to someone on Twitter not that long ago he was saying that his mini was a bit ribbed. Not from me, that he'd bought. I was kind of trying to say, like, without slagging off the company, it's kind of what you pay for. So if you were to get that and it seems quite cheap, it's probably then printed on a cheaper printer. So again, it's like, if you don't care, then that's fine. But you do definitely get what you pay for. And yeah, it's like, yeah, sometimes it doesn't matter if it's some background-y thing, but that's not our company, basically, because there's that cheap and cheerful thing, and I own plenty of that stuff where I go, it's okay, it can go in the background, but I want us to be good. It's on Lead Adventure, there's 2 threads, and there's resources for miniatures that are cheap and resources for miniatures that are good, and I've always been like, don't put me in the cheap. Well, I want to be decent, I want to be affordable, but I want to be known for being good rather than, oh, get them, they're cheap, but it's like, get them because they're good. But yeah, random. But yeah, some of the stuff is a bit grim. But yeah, some of the stuff isn't. So some of it I've looked at and gone, how are you making money? These like beautiful big prints. So say it's not, again, like with printing and everything, it's not created equal. So you might buy off one company a 3D printed thing and it's ribbed with all the struts. When they sell them with all the struts on, I'm like, you can just peel them off after it's printed, but when it's dry, you then got all these horrible bits to clean up, and it's like hell. Whereas another company would have a really beautiful, that's kind of hard to, distinguish from a resin casting. And I think, whoa, that's wild. But yeah, and I don't know how they're making money, because that's a lot of time, resources to print it. So who knows? But yeah, I do wonder sometimes, and like worry about whether I'm becoming an old man and ignoring the future of what people are doing. But there's always that stick with what you know. Yes, look at new and interesting things. There's always going to be innovative ways of doing stuff, but there's also going to be stuff that's a bit of a flash in the pan and easy to bandwagon. Everyone gets excited, and then it doesn't really work again. So yeah, so that's that. What other? I have some news. New website. Have I missed anything there? Oh, do you have plans to do fancy coral bits? Yes, somebody mentioned it at Expo, and I emailed it to myself immediately. But Bristol's not sculpting at the moment, so I've been on the hunt. I might have found, I've got a couple of potentials that are going to do some stuff like that. Because yeah, little beach bits I think would be really nice, and I hadn't thought about that before. So yes, there will be that, but not instantly. Yeah, as Peter said, you have to weigh up cost versus acceptable detail, and yeah, sometimes it's like, yeah, that's absolutely fine, but other times you want detail, and so we mostly do characters, and you want them to look good. So yeah, I just want to be really proud with what we make, basically. What was it? Have you thought of doing some sort of licensing with someone in the EU? One of the reasons I haven't ordered anything is because I don't want to get stuck with the tax bill. Well, we don't do that, but we do have numerous EU retailers. So on the website, I need to jig it about actually, because it's in the something like the about or articles. There's a little drop down that says retailers. So we've got a bunch of retailers in the EU. I'm working on getting a lot more. So it means you can buy from them, and obviously then you won't get all the taxes and import and stuff. But nobody carries the full range in Europe. But what was it? So nobody carries the full range, but most of them, if you ask if there's a particular thing, they'll just add it to their next order. I don't know about Spain because I don't cover all of the retailers. North Star do quite a few of them. If they're not on my website, there could be one handled by North Star who can't tell you. It's weird because there's all this data protection. So North Star can't actually tell me who's selling my stuff because it's giving away their information. So I found some of them by sort of Googling around, which is it's good for me because it's less stuff I have to deal with. So I sell direct to retailers and distributors, and North Star do as well. So we kind of cover more ground. But yeah, if we don't have any in Spain, then again, still ordering from the EU, still better for you, and I absolutely don't mind. It's one of the reasons why we've kind of weathered it a bit. Oh crap, hang on. Just noticed the charger's about to run out. Hang on. Let me do that. But yeah, and then where's the plug? There it is. Whew. Just saw it on the oh god, what was on there? That's okay. Whew. That was close. I forgot what I was saying now. Oh no, the clip. No, why are you there? There we are. No. Fuck. No, sorry. I've pulled a thing. I think we're still on. Oh gosh. Right. Where the charger goes was where this bracket was, which pulled off. As long as it doesn't spring off and land onto all these minis where there may be a bit of swearing. Right, so it's now plugged in. Yes, something. Yes. So that would be what I intend to show. Whew. Right, let me have a coffee. I'm aware it's gone on a bit. I've got a couple more things to say. Andreas, remember to check out the new website. It's so smooth. Yes, so new website. It's just the software's been updated, but some of it's been moved around. There's a couple of bits need tinkering. So yeah, if you see anything weird, send me a message. I just need to give him some feedback. Nick is the man who works on our website. It's not Nick Air, it's a different Nick. But he manages my website and he's ace. He tends to, he's not a day-to-day, I do all the stuff, do all the updating and all that, but when there's something software-y and CSS related, they get Nick in. So he's usually about once a year, and I get him to do some MOTing on the website just to update bits and pieces that I can't do. So yeah, he's just updated it. But there's a whole new checkout system, which is apparently a lot more sleeker. And a few other bits that I need to look at what's new in the update and see what we can have, because we can have instant discount coupons. So when you buy one, if you buy it in the middle of the night, you'll instantly get it rather than have to wait for me going, oh crap, I need to type out a code for you, which I think is very useful. And it's just other ways of categorizing and how it works. So there's loads of that stuff as well. So yeah, go have a little look, and yeah, let me know if there's anything that seems weird on there. What else? There's an Andy upstairs, I think, going, I want to go and get some breakfast. It's fine. And now I've got the corner as well. People are like, do you want to go? And that's fine. Go west. Another factory stuff is so beautiful that it's a terrible painter. I find them intimidating. Well, they are designed so that even if you're a terrible painter, they can still look good. So they're very, so they don't have a million extra bags and pockets and that sort of stuff on. And I think the people in the chat there will confirm that they are very easy to paint, in terms that you can whack some paint on, put a bit of wash on into the crevices and go, damn, that looks okay. Because that's part of the goal as well, so that it's not scary, because some of the stuff I've bought previously has got so much going on that I then go, oh, you know what, I'm not bothering. Hey, look who's already there. They basically paint themselves. Yes. What else? So next week, almost don't see. Next week will be me trying. What? Why is it not? It's still not. No. Hang on. Charge. Why is it not charging? Have I plugged it in? Hang on. I don't want to go. What's going on? It's not charging, so I may suddenly disappear. Why is that not working? What? Hang on. That light's on. It's going into the danger zone, but it's on. It's on. Oh gosh. It's definitely on. Oh, fun. So I should probably end this then if it's gonna. Why is it not? Hang on, this is bothering me now. Why aren't you charging? ZUCC agents have hacked your charger. They have. Why is that not working? Oh, that's a bad thing. Hey, there we go. The thing was a bit loose there. We're on. Whew! And I can carry on digging myself into some holes. Where are we at? We've got to feed the teenagers. Bye. Thanks for coming along. Hey. I know it's a weird one. It's one that like slots in at the side like that. The excellent fur detailing makes them good for eye brushing too. Hey, this is good. I don't have to do my own selling. You do it for me. Thank you. I do appreciate that. Peter's 20 USBs, one works. Yeah, of course. When it's angled like that. Yes. So thanks for coming along. I've got one more thing. Yes, so next week I'm going to be trying to make some sense of stuff. So you will notice some orders going out. So I got a chunk out last week. There'll be some more going out. I'll be doing my apology tour again. I'm trying to get some sort of normals back. What else? What other things are there? Just looking at my pigs, they're all asleep. They're all flat. The other small thing was, if you've been on Twitter this week, there's been a whole thing about Satine Phoenix and Jemison Stone, the former of who was one of my hobby heroes. It's been very disappointing. I won't go fully into it. If you know, you know. There's been various allegations, whole heap of allegations, and I've kind of read my way through all, and it sucks. And it's been a bit of a downer for like, wow, part of the industry sucks. But also it's quite a different world, that more sort of D&D world than wargaming stuff. It's a lot more sort of celeb focused and stuff, especially in America. Than here. It's kind of like we meet up in village halls, and it's a little bit different. But yeah, there's been a whole thing about people just generally being taken advantage of in the industry, or people that are too sort of high up to contest. And what was it? Brain has gone off. And yeah, the stuff, and obviously one person came forward, and then it made a whole heap of people come forward. And then it kind of also, in my bad brain, reminded me of all the stories that I could tell. And obviously the people are saying, not about them, I've not dealt with them directly. Although I have been involved with a thing that they were in, but not directly. What was it? Yeah, and people going, kind of demanding more tales off people, and like, it's not, there's reasons why people don't tell things. So in my head, I've been going through my various awful tales from the last 7 years. I'm like, no, I can't. Even now, there's stuff that I can't say because it'd be too depressing. That's the word, depressing. It'd be too damaging. Whereas it's already damaging me running Bad Squiddo damages Bad Squiddo. Because, well, obviously because I say things like I'm not a fantasy. But no, I've had people refuse to work with me because of me being a controversial figure, by promoting women. So that's really controversial, stuff like that. But the more I get outspoken, the more I get stressed, the more bridges I burn, which obviously a lot of time it doesn't matter, but I'm already at a massive disadvantage, basically. So a lot of times I've considered, and the way I do it is to generally channel it into other stuff personally. And this is no way, so I'm getting a whole no way. If people talk about stuff, it is amazing. And say one person speaking up on that gave the leeway for a whole other bunch of people. But it's a bit of a different world for me. But what was it? Yes, I'm already at a disadvantage, and I like to kind of just prove people wrong by existing and by it going well. That's kind of my revenge, as it were. But there's always stuff in my imaginary memoirs. I'm like, the things I could write. But yeah, it's just it wouldn't be worth it, because when you don't have evidence for stuff and people are way more established than you, it can be damaging. And if any of those people had sort of come out without that big thing from Chad originally, they would have. That was right. They had their careers threatened, basically. And yeah, if they'd come out by themselves and said the thing, then they may well have been sort of ended. But it was only because that one sort of leeway was, so people do open the doors by talking about stuff, basically. But also to not judge people if they aren't ready to do that. But anyway, right. So yeah, that sucked a bit. But then there's been some nice stuff on Twitter where people like, let's talk about people that are awesome. So I shared a thing around of like, here are some people that are on Twitter that we've worked with or kind of associated with. We don't directly work, but we was, pictured hanging out and all that sort of stuff. It's like, these are all cool people. Follow these people. I've got a weird shadow here. It's because the guinea pigs. It's a shadow from the pig pen because I get the light, and then it's like, doo doo. So yeah, it's always hard because I have to bite my tongue a lot, which is probably why I just went nah. See, okay. That could be a gift, but I kind of do have to choose what battles I pick, or I basically become like that woman that's always moaning about people that no one else has had a problem with and all that sort of thing. So I think that's kind of like not been great. Also, while my brain's been rubbish because I've been in a bit of a downer on it all, and then your little brain goblins say stuff like, "Oh, you suck and your stuff sucks," even though I've not long been at Expo where everyone said it's ace, and you were all here saying it's ace. Anyway, it's been nearly an hour, so I should definitely go, and I've got some racks to shift, things to sort. I just want a day to not be stressed about anything and to just sit and chill. That would be a dream, and that hopefully at the end of the month I'm getting that. But yeah, it's tough, and I never want to be negative on things, because otherwise it'd just be negative all the time. But yeah, I like to mixing the truth. Carol, I should have said that. I'm going to the Too Fat Pilates Day next month, which is going to be really fun. I was looking at the attendees list and noticed some familiar faces. Also for the curry afterwards. So yeah, that'll be fun. Get to be in player mode rather than seller mode. So I'm looking forward to that because there's a chunk of people on there that I've either not hung out with properly or know from online and haven't hung out with at all, or all that sort of stuff. Yay! Yeah, sorry, I realised I was like, oh, I don't know if that's a public list. I don't want to GDPR you is the thing, but yes, so yeah, it'd be cool to actually get to have a nice catch up, Carol. That'd be really cool. I saw your name on the thing. I'm like, yay! So that's awesome. And there seems to be a good gang there. So yeah, there's loads of awesome people. What live games do you play? None of them. We worked in conjunction with them on some chain of command rules for the home front stuff. But I have not played a single Too Fat Lardies game, which apparently is fine for a Lardies Day because you can turn up and they give you all the stuff. They give you the minis, and there's people doing running games and stuff. I've heard it's the nicest, friendliest sort of thing ever. So yeah, I'm just going to turn up and roll some dice and drink some beer by the looks of it, and then I think they drink lots of beer, so I'll then have a couple of beers and slope away. But yeah, there's like a nice group meal booked after and stuff, and I thought, oh, that's really nice. Because the absolutely loveliest gaming day I've been to so far was the Core Hammer one, which is people who like hardcore music and gaming, and it was such a lovely day. It was the nicest gaming day I've ever been to. Anyway, I should go because we're over an hour now. Sorry to brought up, it was a bit more dynamic than I thought because I was a bit worried that I'd just go. And I've kind of chirped up a little bit actually, so this is good. But yes, I'm definitely need to do something to change. But yeah, Squiddo's fine, so that's okay. It's just me, and I get annoyed that we're so tangled. It's like E.T. and the plant. Also in general life, been watching Stranger Things and Better Call Saul and catching up on those. And again, if you like Stranger Things, look at the upside down orbs. Orbs. They weren't made for that either. I was watching it and went, oh, that reminds me of the orbs. There you go. So I've lots, stuff. And I'll be updating some of the things with the updated pictures as well. We've even got like the mine cart and stuff from Carla, which is lovely. Carla's not been well. I don't know if she'll watch this afterwards, but if you want to wish her good health and stuff, that might cheer her up. She is still amongst all that, managed to get these lovely things sorted. Also on the mine, she has put glitter. Whee! Look at that. That's such a good idea. Just tiny little bits of glitter for the oars. Ratty, oh no, how are your plants doing? In one of my pre-episodes, I may have destroyed all of the plants in the office. So they're not doing so well. But the house plants are doing excellent. And they've had a bit of a shift around because I did have what's now Andy's room again. After he left, I was like, yes, I can use that. It's a perfect windowsill for plants. And they've been redistributed across the house, but I've used it as a good excuse to put some more little risers and stuff. So the house plants are absolutely lovely. Office plants, a moment of silence. But yeah. So anyway, thank you for coming along. I was a bit worried at the start no one was going to come along. I'm still in that, like, everyone hates me and I'm rubbish. And again, me not being around because of brain means that I've not been online, which means all the algorithms just sink. So like my Facebook page sucks. So when I do finally post, it goes, we'll show 4 people. I'm like, no, show everyone. Show everyone. But yeah, and also, I did, amongst all this, manage to go on the Christian Reeve podcast, which is a very nice informal podcast. So I'll let you know when that's out. I think he said it'd be about a month. But that was quite a fun one to do because it's someone with no knowledge of wargames, basically. So yeah, I hope this has been good for you. Do the old like and subscribe and stuff. And I will catch you next week. Thank you again. You are ace. Thanks for not hating me. Bye.